the night longhouse stepped quietly into a smoky wooden hall on a cold northern coast, where firelight flickers, breath fogs in the air, and the hush of sleeping warriors mingles with the crackle of embers. The night begins before darkness fully takes hold. Outside, snow drifts down against the steep roof of carved timbers. You step inside, pushing aside the heavy hide that serves as a door. Warmth greets you, but not clean warmth. It is smoky, thick with the scent of burning pine resin, sweat, and old salted fish. The longhouse is dim, with only a central fire glowing in its trench, sending up a wavering column of sparks. The longhouse is not silent. Children murmur, their play still lingering, even as mothers hush them. A dog shifts in the shadows, stretching on the straw floor. Someone coughs deeply, a reminder of the constant presence of illness. You are tired, as most are after the day's labor. Yet your work is not done. You spread rushes across the damp floor, sweep ashes, and stoke the fire carefully, adding logs one by one so the flames will last the night. Every task feels endless, but without it, the hall would freeze. The benches along the wall are covered with rough wool blankets, furs from the hunt, and whatever straw could be spared. The air is uneven, too hot near the fire, too cold at the edges. If you lie close enough for warmth, you inhale smoke until your chest tightens. If you drift to the walls, your fingers stiffen from the icy drafts that seep through the cracks of timber. You lie down, wrapping your cloak tightly. Around you, the low rumble of voices softens. A man recites a fragment of a saga, almost to himself, about a hero who sailed across seas of ice. His words blur into the creaking of the beams overhead, the hiss of burning wood. Outside, the wind rises, rattling the shutters that are meant to keep out the worst of the cold. Some turn to face the wall, pressing their backs to the frozen mud door of the longhouse. Others snuggle deeper into the scant straw beneath them, pulling their cloaks tight. A baby cries out, reaching a tiny hand toward the darkness, seeking warmth that isn't there. Its mother hums a lullaby, her voice hoarse but soothing. As the night deepens, the shadows grow longer and more pronounced. The firelight dances in wide eyes, turning the familiar faces of family and friends into masks of flickering light and dark horrors. Fearful tales told in hushed whispers echo around you. Stories of trolls that prowl the frozen wastelands, of giants that make their homes in the high mountains, of monstrous wolves with eyes like burning coals. Each story leaves a chill in its wake, seeping deeper into your bones than the winter wind ever could. Then, just as suddenly, the stories end. A warrior clears his throat, rousing the others to alertness. He speaks in a low but steady voice, recounting deeds of valor, of battles fought and won, of raids into the heart of enemy lands. His words stir something deep within you, a sense of pride, of belonging, of strength in unity. For a moment, fear is forgotten. Only the crackling of the fire and the steady voice remain, weaving a sense of security in the vast darkness. Outside, the storm rages, howling like a wounded beast against the sturdy walls of the longhouse. But within, nestled around the flickering fire, you feel a surge of defiance. This space, this fragile bubble of warmth and light, is all that separates you from the unforgiving embrace of the endless night. And so you cling to it, drawing strength from the shared stories, the camaraderie, and the unwavering flame that continues to dance in the heart of the longhouse. A small hand reaches out, tugging at your cloak. Startled, you turn to find a child gazing up at you with innocent curiosity. The little one, no older than 6 winters, has been watching you with wide, unblinking eyes. Hesitantly, you stoop down, meeting the child's gaze. In that instant, you see a reflection of yourself in their innocent wonder. Their small hand, sticky with the remnants of yesterday's berries, reaches out to touch your face. You recoil involuntarily, and the child's face falls, mirroring the flicker of a candle flame in the gathering gloom. As the night deepens, the child's mother beckons them back, her voice soft but firm. With a final lingering glance, the child slips back into the comforting darkness, melting away into the tapestry of slumbering bodies. Group, you settle back, allowing the rhythm of the night to envelop you once more. But the child's innocent curiosity has planted a seed of introspection. You ponder the weight of your own past, the choices that have led you to this very spot in the tapestry of time. What stories will you tell? What legacy will you leave behind? Your thoughts drift to the hero of the tale, sailing across the frozen sea. Will your journey be remembered, your deeds sung by bards around future fires? Or will you fade into the background, your life's story lost to the winds of change? The fire crackles merrily, chasing away the encroaching darkness. The dancing flames cast long, distorted shadows on the longhouse walls, transforming the mundane into the mystical. Suddenly, a crash echoes through the hall, shattering the fragile quiet. Startled, you turn to see a young man standing amidst a pile of broken pottery. His face, usually animated with mirth, is etched with remorse. In the flickering firelight, you see not just a broken shard, but the reflection of his crushed spirit. Quietly, you rise and approach him, placing a hand on his shoulder. Together you gather the shards, each piece a testament to the fragility of their world. The task is not merely about repairing a vessel, but mending a spirit. As the first faint streaks of dawn begin to paint the eastern sky, a hush falls over the longhouse. Sleep, a precious commodity in these harsh lands, has finally claimed most of the inhabitants. Even the fire, as if respecting the sanctity of slumber, burns low and slow, casting a gentle glow over the slumbering forms. Among them, you find a warrior fast asleep, his chest rising and falling in peaceful slumber. His face, usually weathered and stern, is relaxed, his features softened by the ethereal glow of the dying embers. A pang of affection pierces you. Despite the hardships they face, the dangers they endure, life here is not without its simple joy. The warmth of the hearth, the camaraderie of the people, the quiet dignity of a warrior's sleep. These are the treasures that sustain them through the long nights and endless snows. As the first sliver of daylight pierces through the cracks in the longhouse, a stirring begins. Groans and coughs mingle with the crackling of the fire, gradually giving way to murmurs and the rustle of bodies shifting. The warrior stirs beside you, his eyes fluttering open. For a moment he seems confused, disoriented, before recognition dawns on his face. A tired smile touches his lips as he extends a hand in greeting. Together, you watch as the fire, the heart and soul of the longhouse, slowly gives way to the encroaching dawn. Embers fade, the shadows lengthen, and the silence deepens. A profound stillness settles over the longhouse, a stillness that speaks volumes of the lives lived and endured within these four walls. Outside, the first tendrils of daylight begin to push back the darkness, heralding the promise of a new day. The longhouse, with its sagging roof and smoke-stained walls, stands resolute against the bleak canvas of the winter sky. Within its weathered confines, the embers may have died, but the spirits of those who dwell here burn as brightly as ever. They are a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest of nights, hope flickers like a stubborn flame, waiting to be fanned back into life. As you step out into the nascent dawn, brushing the remnants of the night from your shoulders, you do so with a renewed sense of purpose. The day, though still painted in shades of grey, holds the promise of new beginnings. The sun, though veiled behind the clouds, promises to cast its warmth upon the land. And you, invigorated by the shared experience of the night, are ready to face it. This is just one story that takes place in the longhouse. Click the link in the description below to read more stories that take place in this world. Also, please consider supporting us for access to exclusive content. Thanks for listening. So I've been thinking about this picture book I read to my kiddo called Where the Wild Things Are, which is a classic, and this scene struck me. It's where the main character, Max, who's been sailing away from civilization, lands on a strange shore. And there he hears drumming and sees costumed figures coming out of the forest. They're inviting him to join them in their revels. So Max becomes the king of the wild things, right? He's given a crown made of sharpened sticks and leaves and everything, and he rules over the wild things with an iron fist. He makes them march up and down and around in formation. Poof, and they do it, these wild things. They obey him. They follow his orders, because he's the new boss. And the illustrations by Sendak are amazing. These creatures, they're scary and fantastical and kind of ridiculous. I remember when I was a kid reading this book, I would always look at this scene and think, yeah, I'd like to go there, right? Who wouldn't want to rule over the wild things? Have their own wild rumpus. You know, dance with monsters and let your freak flag fly. That's what I thought, until I tried writing a story about it. So I wrote a story about a man who finds a portal to this place and becomes the new king of the wild things. But after a while, I realized that if I lived there, I wouldn't really want to be king of the wild things. You know, I wouldn't want to live in a place that had so many demands, like they needed so much entertainment. There was always someone trying to pull you into the next dance, another feast, another game, another activity. And you couldn't ever stop to sit still. And also, the weather was always terrible. Either it was freezing cold, or it was sweltering hot, or it was raining sideways, or there were gnats everywhere, or the ground was shaking because some wild thing went by. Oh, and everybody stared at you all the time, especially the childlike things. They just stared at you with their big eyes, and no matter what you did, they would just copy you and mimic you and make fun of you. Yeah, it was exhausting. No wonder Max didn't stick around. When we hear stories like Where the Wild Things Are, when we see images of fantasy places, we think we would love to live there. We imagine ourselves ruling over monsters, or dancing at endless feasts, or having the best seat at the great hunt. We forget the work that goes into any of those things. See, kingship, it comes with duties. Hunting, it requires preparation. And hosting, well, that's a full-time job. Running a household, providing food, making sure everyone has a warm place to sleep, keeping the peace. It takes constant attention. And when you add in monsters who get bored and cranky if they don't have their entertainment, you've got your hands full. That's why I think books like Where the Wild Things Are, movies like Labyrinth, they resonate with us. The idea of going off to a magical place, sure, that's enticing. But the real draw, the reason we love these stories, it's that we recognize ourselves in them, our potential for greatness, sure, but also our capacity for pettiness and selfishness and laziness. After all, being a kid isn't easy, right? If anything, it's harder than adulthood. We forget that when we look back, but it's true. Kids need constant care. They're messy and loud and unpredictable. They're needy and exhausting and often downright terrifying. We can forget that when we look back. But kids are vulnerable, and life, it can be pretty harsh. In the best of circumstances, kids need to learn how to survive. And if we send them off to Monsterland, well, they're not gonna last very long. What we really want is for our children to survive the world, not escape from it. I think that's what this song is about. It's the experience of those long, dark winter nights, the endless hours spent waiting for daylight, for spring, for warmer days. You know, days that maybe you can build fires without gathering enough wood, or days that the sun might shine. It's those dark hours, those lonely hours that are difficult, especially for children. What parents do in those hours matters. How people spend those hours together, it shapes everyone. In today's song, I wanted to capture that feeling of the long winter night, the anxiety of those hours before dawn, when you half asleep and you hear noises, and you not sure if they real, or if you reimagining them. The line between dreaming and waking blurs, you know, and you wonder what's out there in the darkness. Is it the ancestors? Is it the gods? Is it the creatures of the night? You know, I think that's why stories thrive in those dark hours. Stories have always been a way for people to deal with the things we fear most. And what could be scarier than the darkness? You know, stories help us explore that darkness. They allow us to confront it and bring light into it. The more we share stories in the dark, the less scary the dark becomes. And that's what I wanted to capture in this song. The value of storytelling, the power of human connection. You know, in a way, singing songs and telling stories, it's a way to keep the darkness at bay. So, I hope you like the song. And if you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a member. Your membership helps me make more songs and stories for you and your family to enjoy.